A single stick of white blackboard chalk costs less than $2. You draw one unbroken line across your doorframe. Within minutes, the ant column that had been marching into your kitchen for weeks comes to a complete halt. The calcium carbonate in that chalk disrupts the pheromone trail that every ant in the colony depends on for navigation. They cannot cross it. They will not cross it. They stand at the edge of that white line as if it were a wall made of fire. Now combine that chalk line with a $4 bag of diatomaceous earth and a $3 box of borax. Total investment, $9. And with those three materials, you hold in your hands a pest control system that does not just repel ants. It eliminates entire colonies. The Environmental Protection Agency has registered diatomaceous earth as safe for household use. Published studies in the Journal of Economic Entomology have confirmed it causes significant reductions in ant populations within days. University of California's Integrated Pest Management Program has documented that boric acid baits at concentrations below 1% wipe out Argentine ant colonies completely. $9. No subscription, no quarterly contract, no technician visit, just $9 and knowledge that is older than the Roman Empire. And yet, there is a $27 billion global pest control industry that would rather you never hear a single word of what you just heard, because what cannot generate recurring revenue cannot be allowed to spread. Welcome to Buried Knowledge. This is where we crack open the vaults that the outdoor industry desperately locks shut. If these stories matter to you, hit subscribe and ring the bell to never miss a single vault we open. Let us go back, far back, to the banks of the Nile River, roughly 4,000 years ago. Picture a grain storehouse in ancient Egypt. The air is thick, dry, and heavy. Inside, massive clay vessels hold the season's wheat and barley harvest. The wealth of an entire village sits in that room. And the greatest threat to that wealth is not invaders. It is not weather. It is insects, ants, weevils, beetles, tiny creatures that could consume an entire harvest in weeks if left unchecked. The Egyptians solved this problem. They discovered that a fine, chalky powder pulled from dried lake beds could be dusted over their grain stores. That powder was diatomaceous earth, fossilized remains of microscopic algae called diatoms, ground into a soft dust that feels like flour between your fingers. To a human hand, it is nothing. To an insect, it is a field of microscopic razors. The sharp edges of those fossilized shells slice through the waxy coating on an ant's exoskeleton. Once that coating is breached, the insect loses moisture rapidly. It dehydrates. It dies, not from poison, from physics. The Egyptians did not understand the mechanism of desiccation, but they could observe the result clearly. No insects in the grain, no spoilage, no starvation. Now travel east, to ancient China. The Chinese independently discovered the same material and used it to preserve food stores. Travel west, to ancient Greece. The Greeks mined diatomaceous earth deposits and used the powder not just for pest control, but for construction bricks, and even as a dental abrasive. 3 civilizations, 3 continents, 0 contact between them, and all 3 arrived at the same conclusion. This powder kills insects and it keeps food safe. That is not a coincidence. That is a fundamental truth being rediscovered over and over again by people paying close enough attention to the natural world. And then there is borax, a mineral first found in the dried lake beds of Kashmir and Tibet. Borax has been used since ancient times as a preservative, a cleaning agent, and a method of controlling pests. When an ant ingests borax, it disrupts the insect's digestive system. But here is what makes borax devastating to an entire colony. Does not kill instantly. The ant carries the borax-laced bait back to the nest. It shares that food with other workers. Those workers feed it to larvae. The larvae process it and pass it to the queen. Within days, the poison has reached every level of the colony's social structure. The queen dies. The colony collapses from one spoonful of borax mixed with sugar water. The ancient world understood this. 3 materials. Chalk for immediate trail disruption. Diatomaceous earth for perimeter defense and direct kill. Borax for deep colony elimination. Together, they form a complete pest control system that costs less than a fast food meal. Stay with me because what modern science confirmed about these materials changes everything. In 2015, researchers led by Dr. Michael Rust at the University of California, Riverside, tested diatomaceous earth against Argentine ants, one of the most invasive and persistent ant species on the planet. The results showed significant reduction in ant activity upon application. The microscopic silica particles in diatomaceous earth physically damage the waxy protective layer on the ants' exoskeletons, causing water loss that leads to death within 24 to 72 hours. No chemical resistance is possible. You cannot evolve your way around a razor blade. Let me state that one more time. Insects cannot develop resistance to diatomaceous earth. It kills through a physical mechanism, not a chemical one. Every synthetic pesticide on the market has a resistance clock ticking. Diatomaceous earth does not. The EPA registered food-grade diatomaceous earth for household use. It carries registration number 73739-1-3. It is listed with the Organic Minerals Research Institute. It is classified as safe for use in homes with people and pets. It remains effective indefinitely as long as it stays dry. Now consider borax and boric acid. The University of California's Integrated Pest Management Program published specific guidelines. A. Solution of just 0.5 to 1% boric acid mixed with 10 to 25% sugar and water creates a bait that is devastatingly effective against sugar-feeding ant species. That concentration is critical. Higher concentrations actually repel ants rather than attracting them. The science is precise. 1/2 teaspoon of boric acid powder, 9 teaspoons of granulated sugar, 1 cup of hot water. That is the exact formula. And it works because the low concentration lets the ants feed freely and carry the bait deep into the colony before the poison takes effect. A study at Purdue University demonstrated how diatomaceous earth particles damage the protective layer on ants' bodies at a microscopic level, confirming the mechanism that ancient civilizations observed thousands of years ago without the benefit of electron microscopes. The science is not ambiguous. It is not debated. These materials work. They have always worked. Everything you have seen so far is barely scratching the surface of what was buried. We built the complete Forbidden Outdoor Vault for exactly this reason. Inside you will find the full pest control system guide, the water purification methods that cost pennies, the fire starting techniques the survival gear industry does not want you to see, the insulation secrets that building material corporations buried decades ago, and the food preservation methods your ancestors used for centuries before refrigeration existed. Over 10 guides, all in one place, no fluff. The link is in the description. But stay right here with me because this video just began. The global pest control industry is valued at over $27 billion as of 2025. In the United States alone, the market exceeds $26 billion. The industry grows at roughly 5% per year. Companies like Rentokil, Rollins, Terminix, and BASF dominate this space. Their business model is built on one thing: recurring revenue, quarterly contracts, monthly service plans, annual subscriptions. The average ant extermination visit costs between $150 and $300. Most professionals recommend quarterly treatments at $400 to $480 per year, year after year after year. Now do the math with me. A 10-pound bag of food-grade diatomaceous earth costs $8 to $12 at any hardware store. A box of borax costs $3 to $5 in the laundry aisle. A 12-pack of white blackboard chalk costs under $3. Total cost for a complete ant control system, under $20. And that supply will last you not 1 quarter, not 1 year. It will last you multiple years. $20 versus $480 per year. For equal or superior results. Over a 10-year period, you are looking at $20 versus nearly $5,000. Let me state that one more time. $20 versus $5,000. For materials that work through mechanisms insects cannot develop resistance against. So how did this knowledge get buried? Not by banning it. That would be too obvious. The industry buried it through marginalization, through professional certification requirements that exclude natural methods from standard training, through marketing that frames anything outside the chemical spray paradigm as folk remedy or old wives' tale, through building codes and HOA regulations that require professional pest treatment documentation for property transfers, through insurance requirements that demand proof of licensed pest control service. You cannot patent calcium carbonate. You cannot trademark sodium tetraborate. You cannot put a licensing fee on fossilized algae. And what you absolutely cannot control, you have to bury fast. The pest control industry did not make these substances illegal. It did something far more effective. It made them invisible. It ensured that when you type "how to get rid of ants" into a search engine, the first 10 results come from pest control companies telling you to call a professional. It ensured that hardware store employees are trained to direct you to chemical sprays rather than the bag of diatomaceous earth sitting on the bottom shelf in the garden section. It ensured that the word exterminator became synonymous with the only real solution. I need to be honest right here. Chalk alone is not a permanent solution. A chalk line disrupts pheromone trails temporarily. It confuses foraging ants and stops them from crossing. But ants are adaptive. Given enough time, they will find another route. Chalk does not kill ants. It redirects them. Think of it as the first line of defense, not the entire defense. Diatomaceous earth has a critical limitation. It must stay dry. The moment it gets wet, it loses its effectiveness completely. In humid climates or outdoor applications where rain is frequent, you will need to reapply after every significant rainfall. And borax baits require patience. The colony elimination process takes days, sometimes weeks. If you are dealing with a massive carpenter ant infestation that is actively damaging the structural wood in your home, you may genuinely need a professional assessment to evaluate the extent of the damage. That is real. That is honest. I am not here to tell you that professionals are never needed. I am here to tell you that for the vast majority of household ant problems, the 95% that involve sugar ants, pavement ants, Argentine ants, or odorous house ants marching across your kitchen counter, you do not need a quarterly contract. You need $9 and about 30 minutes of your time. Combine chalk for immediate trail blocking with diatomaceous earth for perimeter kill zones and borax baits for deep colony elimination. That combination covers every gap. Here is exactly what to do. Step 1. Go to any hardware store or order online. Purchase the following: 1 box of white blackboard chalk. Make sure it is real calcium carbonate chalk, not colored sidewalk chalk, which is made from gypsum and does not work. Cost: approximately $2. 1 bag of food-grade diatomaceous earth, 4 to 10 pounds. Look for the words "food grade" on the label. Do not buy pool-grade or filter-grade diatomaceous earth, which is heat-treated and dangerous to inhale. Cost: $8 to $12. 1 box of borax, such as 20 Mule Team Borax, found in the laundry detergent aisle. Cost: $3 to $5. Total investment: $13 to $19. Step 2. Locate every entry point where ants are entering your home. Check door frames, window sills, baseboards, cracks in the foundation, gaps around pipes. Draw a thick, unbroken chalk line across each entry point. This immediately disrupts active pheromone trails and buys you time to set up the rest of the system. Step 3. Apply a thin layer of food-grade diatomaceous earth along the exterior foundation of your home, extending 6 to 12 inches out from the base. Apply it along baseboards indoors, behind appliances, in cracks, and along any ant trails you have identified. Wear a simple dust mask during application. Diatomaceous earth is not toxic, but the fine particles can irritate your lungs if you breathe them in directly. The dust will remain effective indefinitely as long as it stays dry. Step 4. Make the borax bait. Mix 1/2 teaspoon of borax powder with 9 teaspoons of granulated sugar in 1 cup of hot water. Stir until dissolved. Soak cotton balls in the solution and place them on small lids or pieces of wax paper near ant trails and entry points. Keep these baits away from children and pets. The ants will feed on the sweet bait, carry it back to the colony, and share it. Within 3 to 14 days, you will see dramatic reduction in ant activity. Replace the bait every 2 weeks until no ants remain. A homeowner in Banning, California, tested this exact borax recipe after his kitchen was overrun with sugar ants. He placed the bait stations on the counter at night. For 3 days, he watched the ants line up to feed. On the 4th day, the population dropped sharply. By the end of the week, 0 ants remained. His total material cost was under $4. His previous quarterly pest control contract had been costing him $400 per year. $9 versus $400 per year. For the same result, the Egyptians knew. 4,000 years ago, standing over their grain stores, they understood that the fine white powder from dried lake beds would protect their harvest. The Chinese knew. Preserving food with the same mineral across an ocean, with no knowledge of what was happening in Africa. The Greeks knew. Building with it, cleaning with it, protecting their homes with it. 3 civilizations, 3 independent discoveries, 1 truth. The science is settled, the history is undeniable, the evidence is overwhelming. And yet, a $27 billion ozone industry would rather sell you a quarterly spray contract than tell you about a $2 stick of chalk and a $4 bag of fossilized algae. This knowledge did not disappear. It was buried under billions of dollars of marketing, under decades of professional certification gatekeeping, under a business model that depends on you believing that pest control requires a monthly subscription. Your great-grandmother knew. She kept borax under the sink and diatomaceous earth in the pantry. She did not have a pest control contract. She had knowledge. And now, so do you. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe and share it. Every share preserves what they tried to erase. The next vault opens soon. What is inside weighs even heavier.